And your YouTube is up and running, and I'll share it to you, to your page, and I share it to Pat, and then you can just share it to whoever.
Thank you, sir.
I have the name of your guest, so I'll share it to their page as well.
Thank you so much.
What's your number?
909-244.
Turn your mics off, or be quiet.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to hear this coming in, beginning as soon as... and.
Kaotic Radio, because the rest is just a waste of time.
And then it's you, okay?
Okay.
Don't let that guy you call the boss interfere with your entertainment. Kaotic Radio, chaoticradio.com.
Good morning. It's time. It's time for the Jeff Sargent Show. Right here in Rancho Cucamonga with my co-host Janky. What's up, Pat?
This is for Punkland and...
What are you doing, man?
Morning in the Empire. I'm kind of waking up like everyone else at this hour. You know?
Yeah. We have special call-in today.
We do. We got us a Blues Brother calling in.
We've got Willie Hall from the Blues Brothers, famous drummer, plays with Billy Joel and dozens of others.
I mean,
He's an all-star.
he is, actually. You know what I mean? It'd be great to hear his stories.
And in 15 minutes, we get a call from Jennifer Strickland.
The lovely Jennifer Strickland is speeding up our Hot Chick Friday for one day.
Hot Chick Friday on a Thursday.
Yes. Hot Chick Friday and a Thursday.
Yeah, so that was a fun night. What where were we? Yesterday?
Tuesday night in Hollywood.
It was Tuesday night, yeah.
We did the 40th anniversary screening of Superman at the Grauman Chinese TCL Theater.
Yeah, that was great. It was I felt like I saw the movie for the first time.
I did too. You know what I mean? Seeing it on the big screen, and you really get the jokes. You see it unbroken. I mean, there's something about a classic movie on the big screen. You know, I mean, Christopher Reeve's performance. You know, I really understated, but I love Mark McClure's performance of Jimmy Olsen in that movie.
Oh, he's the best Jimmy Olsen.
He
He's
really
better than
is.
the one from the 50s.
Although he's doing the one from the 50s, but he's putting a 70s slant on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was doing kind of modeling his Jimmy Olsen after the original
With
one,
the coat and I just the great Jack Larson performance, you know.
Yeah.
And you know Mark McClure, who played Jimmy Olsen, he was a guard who got murdered or attacked in the new Justice League.
Whoa.
Yeah, so he's in the 40th anniversary of him being in Superman movies. He's still in Superman movies. So
Wow, that's crazy, man.
he played a Kryptonian on Smallville once, you know.
Wow.
I do like how they recycle their characters. You come back as a supporting actor in a later incarnation, you know?
Yeah, you could be. No, that's really cool, though, because it's kind of a hidden thing, but they're right there in front of you.
Producer Ilya Salkin was there. Our morning guest, Jeff East, unfortunately got hung up in Rome and sent back, but you know what I mean?
Yes, that was, we missed him there.
Our boy Aaron Smolinski made it in.
Yeah, Aaron was great. And
Diane Sherry, a longtime crush of mine. You know, I always, my heart always flutters when I see Diane Sherry.
Yeah, Diane, she's wonderful.
When you see her in that movie, your heart melts in the cheerleader outfit and the saddle shoes.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out what year it was. So it's supposed to crash in 1948.
Superman lands in 48.
So that was supposed to be like early 60s or something?
Well, they never really said.
But I figured that after he turned into
Rock Around the Clock is a 50s.
Grew up to the Christopher Reeve character. He was, and then it, of course, is 1978.
Because remember when when Jor-El says, "By the time you achieve manhood, I will have been dead for thousands of years." Because he obviously went through a wormhole or something when he shot over.
Oh, he shot him through a worm, like a portal.
Yeah, that's why he's been dead.
Some kind of black hole to get there in time.
Krypton's been long gone. Yeah. But you know what? I love that movie. I love. I always thought it was a little girl who says the beacon in the tough times, the Daily Planet.
Yeah.
I always loved that classy opening. I always thought it was a little girl. When the Action Comics opens up, and the little girl, some people told me it might be a little boy, but the narration, the kid sets up the movie with, you know.
And that other cameo, was that Noel Neal?
That was Noel Neal on the train with the little Lois Lane and Kirk Allen, the very, very first Superman. And
that was Kirk Allen?
Yep. 48. And the version you saw, the version they showed at the Chinese.
Yeah.
That was the extended cut because originally Noel Neal had like half a line and Kirk Allen didn't say anything.
Really?
Yeah. It was like, oh, Lois Lane, you have such an imagination. Yeah. But they both had a line in the extended cut, which is the one we watched. And when you read the making of, and you see how much trouble they were having. At one point, they were going to have Christopher Reeve play Jor-El. Did you know that?
Wow.
He was going to play his own father in that scene.
Now, so Clark Kent is a teenager running against the train, but Lois Lane is years younger.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Now, in reality, is Margot Kidder the same age as Chris
Margot
Reeve?
Kidder is a year or 2 years older than Christopher Reeve.
Wow, and she played like almost 10 years younger.
Yep, interesting. Huh? Well, she's adorable in that first movie, and then when you look at her in Superman the Quest for Peace, which was 9 years later, with her illness and everything, she'd been through hell. She noticeably, you know what I mean.
So what? So. That I didn't even think about that till now. Said, okay, that's a young Lois Lane, and then when they're in Metropolis, I'm thinking, oh, they look like they're the same age, and it just didn't hit me like that.
Well, to me, it's always weird that Superman, he technically could be 33 because what's weird is Jor-El says, by the time you leave here, 13 of your Earth years will pass by. It's like, so Superman is sitting in a cave when he could be saving people?
Yeah.
You know, and it's so much better, and there's so much more heart than Man of Steel or anything, you know?
Well, the thing is, I like how quirky and Clarky Clark was. I mean, the other Supermen, Brandon Routh and Henry Cavill,
They don't
portray the Clark Kent character.
Reeves goes all out to do the Clark Kent character.
I mean, he's stumbling.
Well, of course, Lois.
Dorky, pushing his glasses up. He gets caught in the rotating doors.
Well, of course, Lois. Why would anyone want to make a complete stranger look like a fool? You know, that's him telling her he knows what she's doing, but pretending it's a character thing, which is really interesting.
And so he always made that was his disguise right there. Is actually his behavior. Not just a pair of glasses.
Clark Kent is the disguise.
I've done that where I've seen people go around with, you're used to seeing them with big glasses on and they're not wearing them. Like, oh, I didn't recognize you without your glasses. And that's a true thing. It happens all the time.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, you've seen that happen, right?
Yeah, but that's also a Dorothy Parker joke where, take off your glasses, honey, you're beautiful. You watch the old 70s shows like on Big TV, like Fantasy Island?
Oh, yeah.
And there's the female nerd, and it's like Barbie Benton or something, and she just pulls out her hairband and, wow, take off those glasses. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. So, whoa. So, yeah, we'll have Willie on this week, or today. Who do we have for Hot Chick Friday? Do we know yet?
Yes. Her name's Jamie.
Cool. Jamie, no last name?
It's coming up.
Is this the Romanian orphan you abducted for our guests?
Yes. Yes.
Keep her sedated until airtime. And her father who's looking for her, good luck. Oh. Jinx. Nice.
I'm gonna contact. Let's see. Oh, 5 minutes. Wait a second.
Yeah, you think it might be?
Call in 5 minutes, but she's gonna call here at the station. But we still have that ghost in the machine.
Oh, Jamie is calling. Well, have her call my phone.
I need her to call your phone.
Do not use my number on the air. I'll add.
Yeah. Pat's number on the air for all you people across the world in Canada.
Oh, well,
the
definitely
US.
Canada. Canadians are cool. I've never met a bad Canadian. I'm sure they exist, but, you know.
And Australia and across the pond.
Boy, if you want to talk about a story, you hear about the whole Stan Lee thing?
Yeah, it's out to the public now, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you know about? Tell us about that.
Yeah. Did you read the stuff about the nurse seducing? Well, one, nobody taking care of Stan in this situation has done any justice. It sounds like the nurse is the only one he had a good time with. Even his immediate family member. I'm just going to stop right there, but you know what I mean? Nobody's going to win any awards for how they've treated Stan Lee in this, you know?
Yeah. So tell us what happened.
Well, the daughter claims the manager, remember we got to be careful because not all of it's out yet.
Yeah.
The daughter claims the manager and the nurse have been trying to alienate her father's affections. Warmth. Yeah, warmth wasn't one thing that radiated off her, let's be honest. So if you want to read it, it's up on my Incredible Hulk page. Go to You Wouldn't Like Me When I'm Angry, a Hulk Companion. Daily Mail did a huge article on it.
Yeah.
You know, I never want to see the words Stan Lee and massage with a happy ending in the same sentence again.
Yeah. He's up there. He's how old
He's
is he?
95, man.
95.
You know? I'm glad he's happy with what happened with the nurse, but everything else, they're stealing money from him and all that. If I were Stan Lee, I'd just leave the money to an animal shelter. You know, because nobody involved is looking out for him. So that's my opinion. That's only my opinion, but that's my opinion. This weekend is today, in fact, is the Emerald City Comic Con, which unfortunately I can't make.
It's a what? Which city?
Emerald City, Seattle Comic Con.
Oh, Seattle, huh?
Have
you been there before?
I've been there a zillion times. I've been there a lot I've been to everyone since 2010. I stay on my sister's couch, which is always delightful.
And it runs what? It runs just like the other ones, 3 days, right?
Yeah, no, 4 days this year.
4 days.
It's gotten huge. It's the biggest event.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Correctamundo.
Wow. So Thursday is usually a setup day.
Thursday now is the first show day. And I hang with my friends Anthony and Carly, and then I just, I see my sister's side of the family, which I don't see often enough. You know what I mean? So I might try to make it down for Crypticon, but as far as this goes, they have a horror one later in the month.
What's Crypticon?
It's a horror convention held in Seattle. It's pretty good. Not half as big as Emerald City.
So it's kind of like a Monsterpalooza kind of thing?
It is. I was hoping to do it this year, but I've got too much work and a couple of things I can't mention yet coming up. So I'm missing it for a good reason, but I just, it's always a chance to see my sister's family. And being woken up by two St. Bernards who sleep on my legs is kind of great. They again, it's rainy and cold there, just like here. And why are we playing commercials?
I don't know why that's happening. Why is this happening?
Also,
Stop. I pressed.
At 7:55, we're going to break for commercials for 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere because we'll be right back.
Yeah.
At 7:55, not now. We're here. Oh, here we go. Are you here? Here we go.
Answer it.
Hello.
Hi, this is Jennifer.
Wow.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank
Hello,
you for
Jennifer.
getting that quick message. We had to change the phone lines around because there's still this phantom ghost swirling through our system here. We don't know what it is.
It sounds amazing.
Oh, well, it's not every radio station that is a phantom ghost, Jennifer, so we consider ourselves lucky.
Oh, wow. Okay, then.
So, all right, baby, give us your superhero origin story.
My superhero?
Origin story. Yeah, where are you from? What made you
Where
do
did
what you
it
did?
all start?
Well, it all started when I was really little. I've always wanted to do acting. I used to put on plays for my whole family. I would do it for actually, we would put on plays together. I've done plays basically my whole entire life. All the classes and everything.
So you went to you studied in theater. You in through grade school and high school and
Absolutely.
and beyond.
And yes, and beyond, and college, and then also outside of college, just doing some community stuff as well. Really, just trying to establish myself as an actor.
Wow. Now, the $1 million question, what did you get your SAG card on?
What am I going to get my SAG card on?
Oh, do you have your SAG card?
No, I don't.
Okay, cool. What was the first gig you ever did? Professional.
Well, I haven't yet, actually. I'm just breaking into this right now.
Awesome.
I see you got some really great modeling photos.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
No, thank you.
Not modeling.
For sharing with the world.
Yes.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on here.
We're trying to link to your Model Mayhem page, assuming you have one. No.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Stop blushing on the phone. Tell us more, Blondie.
Oh my gosh. My uncle used to call me Blondie all the time. That's so funny. You say that. How's it going, Blondie?
Nice.
Yeah, so I'll be starting an acting class here in Santa Rosa, pretty close to home. And it's really going to be working on being in front of the camera and how to just see yourself differently. And so I do that already at my own home, just practicing, seeing my own expressions, my mannerisms.
Are you walking up and down the stairs with a book on your head?
No.
That's how Marsha Brady became a model.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Oh, my gosh. I could never model. I don't think that would happen.
Oh.
No. That's sweet, though. I've had some people ask me, I'm like, no, I'm good.
Uh-huh.
I like acting. I mean, I like taking pictures and stuff, but just out of fun.
Sure.
What was the first play you did in high school?
Oh my God! Well, that would be Romeo and Juliet.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of dialogue right there.
Yeah, oh yes, oh yeah, and trying to decipher all the words. I was Juliet, and I had a lot of fun. We would go and do competitions, actually, different schools, and I believe we won that third place out of 500 schools.
Wow.
So we did pretty well. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Were you when you were doing Juliet, what was your trick for remembering all that dialogue?
It's not about memorizing all the lines. It's about understanding your lines and then reacting to a response. So you really, I have really had to understand what she was saying, and I know that some of that language seems foreign to people. It is for most, and just being able to decipher that, understanding the words, and then just going with it and feeling with it made it easier.
Interesting. How was Romeo? Did you have to carry a sorry ass throughout the play?
Oh my gosh. Very nice. I believe Romeo did very well. Hard to remember back that far. Oh my gosh.
Nobody sees the play for Romeo. This is the total truth.
He did well. Promise.
Aw. So, no, interesting. So were you born? Where were you born?
In 81.
No, where?
Oh.
And by the way, actress, never share your age with anyone.
But she blew it. 1981.
No,
I did. Dang it.
1991, she said. I'm going to help her out here.
I did it.
Wait, did you say 81 or 91?
No, don't repeat it. Okay, go on. So where were you born? I said, where were you born, not when. The first thing you as an actress need to know is never answer that question.
Gotcha. I was born in Reading.
Oh, Redding, California. You're up by
Right.
weed and Bigfoot country.
Uh-huh.
It's beautiful there. I stopped there on the way back from Washington, and boy,
What were you doing in Washington?
there was some good fishing. I was moving some psychotic guy, some office dude. I was paid from my friend at who's got a body shop, and he's all, "Hey, want to make some money? Let's fly." He's going to fly us to Washington. We're going to drive a U-Haul and tow his car home.
I did that once. I helped this guy. It was one of these things. Well, anyway, go on. It's not about us. It's about you. Talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
So you're born in Reading all your life.
Yeah.
When did you realize it was effing cold up there?
Oh my gosh. No, I went to high school in Trinity County, and that is freezing. Yeah, that's like snow and mountains and beautiful place. But it was freezing.
Do you have snow now? Is there snow on the ground now?
No.
Wow.
No, not right now. I mean, maybe in Trinity, but not where I'm at right now.
And are you still in Northern California?
I am.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm out in the wine country, so, can't complain. It's really pretty.
Oh.
Yeah. Nice.
What's the population of your town? Is it a country town? What is it?
Yeah, it's kind of a country town. The population, actually. It's pretty small, though.
And so how long have you lived there? How far from Reading? Okay, what's the name of the town again?
Ukiah.
Oh my God, Ukiah. That's way. Yeah.
Yeah. An hour away from Fort Bragg.
Oh, it's an hour away from Fort Bragg. So do you see jet planes and things flying over?
Not so much.
So much?
Fort Bragg, down there is where they shot The Howling. Right by there. They shot The Howling and Humanoids from the Deep up there.
Humanoids from the Deep? Wow.
No, it's true. The actress, Barbara Peters, the director, said during the monster scenes with the women would turn blue literally because it was so cold by the ocean.
It gets really freezing.
And how far are you from Crescent City?
Oh gosh, I believe about 2-3 hours.
Yeah, Crescent City's beautiful. Ironically, I would be passing through you today on my way to Emerald City Comic Con. I shot through Ukiah driving up. And this year I'm not going, but I'm very happy. Ukiah is always great because it's one of the last towns in California.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're always happy to get out of it, and then you're always happy to get back to it.
Yes, exactly. I moved here because I just thought it was gorgeous. I was like, I need to move here.
So you weren't opening weed?
Yeah.
You weren't opening weed farm or anything?
Oh, no. I learned about that when I came here. I'm like, what the heck? I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a crazy place, Ukiah,
Uh-huh.
And let's see. Well, we're looking at your pictures now. Very cool.
So it's a good location to film, huh, Pat?
It is. They do a lot of... Northern California, they don't shoot there as much because it's very expensive. So when you already know this, but when you shoot in like San Francisco, like when you see the Hulk, which shot in the area, and when you see even something like from the 80s, like Pacific Heights or 90s, it's a really expensive proposition.
Right.
It's
expensive to live here.
Well, it totally is. I know the little town they shot The Fog in. I'm blanking on the name. John Carpenter came back to it to shoot Village of the Damned. And after he was done, they basically closed it to filming again because they didn't want anyone else up there. It was just a pain in the ass. You're paying so much money not to use the street you need to use. No. In LA, you can do that. In Atlanta, you can do that. You can't do that.
But that's the main road that cuts off the whole town.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. You're shutting down the whole town.
Have they shot anything in your little town while you have been there?
No.
Oh.
There's not a whole lot that goes on. I mean, honestly, it's a quiet, nice little town. Just lots of wineries, lots of eateries.
What do you like about it?
The beauty of it and how close this community is with everyone. I absolutely love how everyone comes together if someone's hurting or, someone that's been here like their whole life, and everyone just comes together and then they help out each other. I love it.
Wow.
So it's a great community. Everybody kind of sticks together and help and got each other's back then.
They really do. It's nice to see that.
So if you're walking down the street and somebody honks you, it's usually somebody you know, huh?
Right. Someone you know. Yeah.
Kind of is it a one-horse town? I mean, you got one store, one gas station.
No. No. We will be getting a Costco soon.
Oh, you're getting a Costco soon? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What? You guys have a Costco?
No, not yet. She doesn't.
Oh, that's like where do you have to go to the big megalomarts? You know?
Yeah, where do you shop?
The big do you have is there a Walmart or one of those horrible Walmarts?
There's the Walmart.
They're horrible.
Bring that up.
They're horrible till you need one. Then all your Pacific Northwest snobbery disappears, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where the hell are you going for 88-cent Q-tips?
It's like you see, you always see those videos, people at Walmart, like, these people, do they really exist? And the only time you see them is in Walmart. I mean, no matter where you go, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've had to witness this, right?
Uh-huh. Oh, gosh. I've seen some horrid photos.
Yeah, so the people are still shopping in their pajamas, right?
Hey, sometimes I do.
Sometimes you do, but you look cute in your jammies.
Thank you. Oh, gosh. Well, I don't have my butt hanging out, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So
I know I once had some friends come over to visit from running, and they're like, "What the heck do you do in this town? Like, there's nothing to do." You just have to wait for 5 o'clock, and the temperature's right.
Does the because I know how far from Reading is it?
It is 3.5 hours.
Wow.
3.5 hours. So can you see
the of Egypt, baby?
now?
I know.
Is Mount Shasta? Can you see that from within that many miles from where you are?
No.
Oh God, Jeff's going to ask you about the hollow earth and the reptoids, aren't you?
The hollow earth, yeah. You go in through Mount. How did you know about that, Pat? I heard there's a cave. You could go up there and you can actually kind of go to the center of the earth through the Mount Shasta.
I'm Lemurian on my mother's side.
Is that urban legend or what?
No. Go on.
It's a Shasta cavern.
Yeah.
Oh, they do have caverns in there that people explore.
Do. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Have you been in there?
Oh, I have several times.
Wow. Do you have any pictures of them that you've posted?
No, I have not been since I have been out of school.
How are the reptoids? What school did you go to?
I went to several schools, but for high school, I went to Trinity High in Weaverville.
Where, in Cedarville, you said?
Weaverville,
right by the Bigfoot Museum.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you been to the Legend of Bigfoot Museum?
No. Isn't that on the way to Eureka?
Yes, Wairika. Yes.
Okay, yeah. I passed through there.
You never stopped at the Bigfoot Museum? What the hell's wrong with you, girl?
No.
Boo.
I think it's pretty much just because we were driving through. We weren't stopping.
Did you stop at Sea Lion Caves?
No.
That's also worth a stop.
Okay. All right.
Trust me, it's a tourist trap, but it's really cool. If you go to the edge, instead of going in, if you go to the edge, you can watch all the sea lions come out on the beach, poop, push their kids around. It's cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Especially the poop part.
Hey, the first time I saw a sea lion poop, I thought that's something that, it was like the most beautiful sunset. It was something a lot of people don't get to see.
You had to capture the moment with your eyes.
They poop the size of a dog, okay? It's amazing. It could be a German Shepherd by the time they're done. They drag their ass on the beach.
They are the dogs of the ocean, aren't they?
They are.
Exactly.
And they wonder why sharks bite them in effing half. They're 600 pounds of fat, and their train of poop is kind of astounding.
Oh, my God.
Right there on the beach, it's like a homeless community of half fish cows.
Well, I do. I know when I've been down to La Jolla and I've seen the seals in the cove right there, and they're
Sea Lion Cave. That's what we're talking about.
The sun. Oh yeah. They're just, you can smell it. Oh my God.
Besides that, the ocean is awesome.
Of course. I mean, you have the best shark attacks up there. You have the best surfing.
The best shark attack. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've never seen a shark attack.
Wow.
I've seen a dead whale.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
If you watch that, the shark will show up.
It was on shore. Yeah, it was a gray whale.
Oh my God. How big was that? How many feet were that? I mean, that's just behemoth. I mean, gray whales are huge, aren't they?
Yeah, by the way, before you answer that, we're on the air with the lovely Jennifer Strickland of Northern California. So if you have any questions for her, give us a call. Oh, wait, you can't.
No,
our phone lines are screwed up.
We're having problems with our phone line.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So if you have any questions for her, email them to us.
Or you could fold it in a paper airplane. And you could sail it right here to Kaotic Radio in Rancho Cucamonga.
Or if you're from Lemuria, which is buried under Mount Shasta, just tap your forehead twice and the answer will appear in Jeff's mind. We'll do automatic writing.
I'm going like, oh man, we're sitting there wanting to give our number. That's why we had you call, because we haven't. When people call in, it's
been horrible. The phones have been...
You hear this, and it's just like, it's very disturbing.
Wow.
So
you did that really well.
Trust me, we've been listening to it most of the week.
And now sound effects on the Jeff Sargent show.
Nice. Thank you so much.
he likes to put you there. The way you can put us in Lemuria if you tell us about your trips underneath Mount Shasta.
Yeah, that's always been a place of mystery to me. And
how are the reptoids doing?
Just go. You should go.
I mean, I passed it going when you could see it when I was in going through Redding. Right, it's not that far from Redding, right?
It's not that far.
No, and I could see it, and there's always seemed to be a snow cap up there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's got a really high elevation.
That's right. Fucking cold.
Yeah. Thank you for cleaning up your language, little lady.
I hardly ever cuss anyways.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, were your parents locals? Were they from there as well, or?
No. My parents did not live over here at all. Like, no, I have no family over here.
Wow, they put you in a rocket and just sent you off the dying planet, wherever.
They're like, see ya. No.
Oh, wow.
So, my mom wanted me to stay with her as long as possible.
Oh,
that was hard. I was like, I need my independence. I need to go.
She
I did, And I went
time to cut the umbilical.
And then once you do, you want to reattach it. Mom, where do I send you my phone bill?
Yes, you go.
So how is there rivers? Is there streams and rivers going through Ukiah?
Yeah.
So just like in Redland, when I stopped in Redland, I mean
Redding, you moron.
Redding, not Redland. Redding, and we were fueling up and taking a rest, and I saw these guys, bait and tackle shops everywhere, And
night
guys
crawlers.
fishing off.
Got night crawlers.
Yes, fishing off the bridge. It was beautiful. I
Yeah.
wanted to stop and go fishing for the rest of the day, but we had to keep moving.
Not me, man.
Yeah.
Now, are you off the 299 or the 5?
$2.99.
Wow, so you're right on the coast.
Yes.
Very
yeah.
nice. Wow.
Beautiful. And Mendocino.
Wow. So you've been through Bigfoot country, Willow Creek.
I have.
Wow. Do you ever stop there?
I don't think I have. What's with you, Bigfoot? You're a Bigfoot?
Well, Bigfoot's total Northern California. It was
It
my
is, I
obsession.
know.
As a child in Michigan, when we go out to see my grandmother, it was my obsession.
Uh-huh.
And when my parents stopped for gas in the cheesy town from where they got the footage of Bigfoot, I pretty much shouted until they stopped. Let me see the statue.
Wow.
That was the footage where the guy gets bucked off the horse
Yes,
and he pulls
yes.
out his Super 8
Yeah.
film and he does that walk. Right?
Frame 257 where Bigfoot turns his head and looks at the camera.
Yes, I love that footage.
Female Bigfoot, by the way.
That was a
Right.
female Bigfoot.
That's a female Bigfoot.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what size was her cup?
Actually, like Triple D.
Triple D. Triple D Bigfoot. Oh
No,
my.
that's like the Jane Mansfield of Bigfoots. Take a look at that footage. A well
I
endowed.
may.
Yeah, please
I'm gonna
do.
have to stop by and get you some Bigfoot.
I would- you would be on. You it would be the Jennifer Strickland show if you did that.
Yeah.
Well, you can help me ask this tyrant.
Now, what about the Bigfoots up in Canada, eh? Are they like above? Are they the West Coast Bigfoot?
By the way, I love how you're making fun of my love for Bigfoot when both of you idiots know about Mount Shasta. Oh, yes, Lemuria under Mount Shasta is so much more realistic than a hairy man-like ape that travels around the Pacific Northwest. First of all, Bigfoots are alleged to be, I talked to John Green for an article. They're believed to be migratory. And their migratory,
Wow.
isn't that great? Yeah. And their migratory patterns, ironically, have been out of whack since 81 when Mount St. Helens, 1980 when Mount St. Helens blew up.
Oh my God, I forgot about the Mount St. Helens.
Yeah, because remember
That was like the biggest. You could see that from space. Huh?
Oh yeah, no, it was horrifying. I remember going out to see my grandmother by plane as a kid, and that orange hue was still in the sky for months. You could literally look out your window on your plane for years and see a volcano. You know, and I mean, it totally killed Spirit Lake. My parents honeymooned at Spirit Lake in Washington. And the place where they honeymooned was long gone once Mount St. Helens blew. It destroyed it. Now you can go through it, and it's like walking around the surface of the moon. The trees look fake. Everything's black and ashy to this day.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. It's when Rainier blows, it's going to be quite a show. When Mount Rainier goes off.
Wow.
You know?
You could get. Were they selling any souvenir? Oh, they were selling ashes from them.
My Aunt Susie sent us soap.
ash.
We have soap made from volcanic ash. You know?
And you could get it. They were putting it in little bottles with corks, right?
What's kind of exciting, scary when you're down in that area, they still have the volcano. They still have you'll see street signs for volcano emergency alert. You know where to go, what roads to take when the volcano blows again.
It could happen again.
They said it's building up again. Yeah.
Oh, it totally could.
Wow.
But
Now, how much footage? It lost the whole cap. It was like a crack.
It blew off the cap. There was a guy named Harry S. Truman, and that's why the guy on Twin Peaks was named after him. There was a guy named Harry S. Truman who lived on top of the mountain with like 30 cats, and he refused to move. And they know he's dead. All the cats are dead, of course. But when that thing blew, Harry refused to leave. So
Wow.
they now know. Well, Jen, you know all this, but the plants were dying. They found the plants and trees were dying because the scalding water was killing their roots.
Yeah, all the sulfur.
Yeah, that was the months leading up to the blow. You know what I mean? I mean, the volcano as it was getting going was superheating the water and destroying. Fish were bobbing up to the surface with nothing wrong with them except boiled.
Right.
I see pictures of you on the beach. What beach is that? It doesn't look familiar.
More than likely, that's Fort Bragg.
Wow.
Wow.
See, Jeff is planning his menu for stalking you. You might want to delay
Fort Bragg Beach.
You might want to delay his trip up there if you send him a lock of your hair.
Put an envelope.
So is it really cold water?
Don't look at clothes,
that beach?
please.
It looks pretty cold there.
It is, but during the summer, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets pretty warm over there.
Wow. What's your favorite hangouts in Northern California? Where could we, as lowly Southern Californians, go on our trip up to 299?
I would say Ukiah. As long as Jeff doesn't stalk me anymore.
Exactly. It says home of Jennifer Strickland on the...
Right. Like pinpointed where I am.
Well, you are adorable. Go on.
Let's see. Santa Rosa's nice.
Oh, I've been to Santa Rosa. Yeah.
You've got an
Anderson's River.
You've got an Anderson's pea soup in Santa Rosa.
Yeah, I sure do.
My brother and I were supposed to beat up Tobey Maguire for Seabiscuit, and they had to cut the scene because they put us up in a hotel for like 3 days waiting to beat up Tobey Maguire.
Oh, I remember that. Who's the guys that ended up beating him up? Was it you guys? Or
No, they cut that scene. It was the second beating when he still owed money. We were supposed to beat him up.
Yeah, where's the money? That's back when they used to bully jockeys back in the old race days.
They did the first of those scenes, and then we were going to be the second group of goons. And it was Gary, oh God, I'm blanking on his name. Gary Ross, who wrote and directed Hunger Games and some other stuff. Mm-hmm. It was so far past budget that literally us, and there was a girl who was supposed to have a scene with him where she helps his injuries. We were all sitting on our hands, swimming in the pool, waiting all weekend. And then they come up to us. The assistant comes up and goes, "They're going to cut your scene, you guys, but you're still going to get paid." I would rather have the footage of beating up Spider-Man, but okay.
Yeah.
Right. Gosh.
That
sounds heroic.
That Santa Rosa. My stepfather was a horse trainer, and we used to travel the track. And I went to the Santa Rosa for the first time. That was, back in the mid-'70s.
He said, "Hey, Jeffrey, you want to watch me jerk off a horse?"
And the Santa Rosa, the fairgrounds, it was...
you could do it too, Jeffrey.
It was a great track, man. I had a good time there.
Wow.
And it was... we stayed in this little town in the horse farm in Santa Rosa. It was a little town called Minkler. Population was like 47.
Wow.
That was it. One gas station, a post office, and a little market.
There was a livery and his stepdad's horse masturbation services.
Will you shut up?
Yeah.
I won't let you talk that way to our lovely guests.
But Santa Rosa's a beautiful. They have the Believe It or Not museum there. They have the Ripley's.
Oh, I did stay there. Okay.
Did you see that?
We did that the next morning. The last trip to my father's last trip. My last trip with my father lived in Seattle, and we'd come down for Christmas. And it was pouring so badly when we pulled into Santa Rosa. This is after Seabiscuit. And the next morning, my father, my brother Tom, and I found out we'd stayed at this hotel next to Ripley's, Believe It or Not. It was wonderfully chintzy,
Yeah, it was very tiny. It was a little garden, and
it was like a photo mat. It was a photo mat. They didn't even charge you money. Do you know that?
No, it was.
Wow.
It was a tiny walk-through, a little cottage house with a garden. It was Luther Burbank's garden too.
Really?
Yeah, he's the one who developed all of things. We've got to switch.
All righty.
Jennifer, it was nice talking to you. We
adore you, and we
tune
appreciate
into the show. We've got Willie Hall from the Blues Brothers.
Come on again, baby, anytime.
So much.
All right.
Thank you,
Willie.
Thank you, Jen, very much. Have a good day. Okay.
Let me call him up. Hold on, everybody. We've got Willie Hall from the Blues Brothers calling in.
Willie Hall from the Blues Brothers, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me get that. Okay, call logs. Here we go. Here we go. Here he goes. Here we go. Here he is.
Hello.
Hello, Willie. You're on the air on the Jeffrey Sargent Show.
The great Willie Hall from the Blues Brothers. Wow, wow, wow.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Not bad, sir.
Man.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, man, I haven't been up this early since 1950.
That's a true musician. That's a true professional musician right there.
It's our honor to wake you
get up that early.
It's our honor to wake you up for the first time in 68 years, Willie.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow.
So,
how have you been? Any good gigs lately?
Yeah, I do a show every other Sunday. There's a recording studio here. It's also an internet radio station called radio/memphis.com. And every Sunday they broadcast. We've got my friend Rick Cheddar. He's the DJ. And so I play there on Sundays with a bunch of the artists that come. You know, whatever artist they have that comes in for the interview, then 9 times out of 10, I'll play with them while they're there.
Wow.
So it's kind of like an all-star jam.
Yeah, man. So I do get a chance to stretch out.
Wow.
Yeah. So last week, the last time I was there, which was actually about 2 weeks ago, there was an artist named Booker Brown. They call him Booker Blues Brown.
Wow.
He's a local artist here, but you know, you can go to the Facebook site and pull it up. But yeah, we had fun, man. It is exactly that, a local jam.
Wow. Is that fun? Is that fun just to grab your sticks and jump in?
Yeah, man. You know, always. You know, like I've been doing it so long.
Yeah, you can just pop in and hit any groove, you know?
Yeah. There's not many tempos or many grooves that I can't fit into. So, you know, it's always fun, man. You know, whether it's country and western, pop, blues, you know, but R&B and country, those are my fortes.
Wow. Willie, how old were you when you realized I'm going to be a drummer? And what turned you? What was the song or musician who turned you, who made you want to be a drummer?
Okay, you know, I was like, I was in the 7th grade. So that's what, like 12 years old?
Yes,
or something?
Yeah.
And I tell you who inspired me. There were some of the artists from Motown, like Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, Holland Dozier, and Holland.
Wow.
When I would listen to those songs on the local jukebox, you know, I just knew that was going to be my destiny. But the most influential artists were the Beatles, believe it or not.
Wow, really?
Wow. I am a crazed Beatle fan. I mean, you could play 4 notes from any Beatles song.
Wow.
And I could tell you what song it is.
Wow.
So man, look, I was the only black kid in my junior high school that had a pair of suede boots.
Oh,
and if I had known about hair relaxer and could have cut my hair, I would have worn a Beatle haircut, man. And look, all the other guys would look at me and say, "Man, who the hell you think you are, the Beatles?"
Wow. They were putting down your Beatle boots.
That's a true story, man.
Wow.
Honestly. Yeah.
You were Beatles.
The Beatles and Stevie Wonder. That's it for me.
That's amazing. So you wanted to be Ringo, basically.
But you know what? Actually, I did pick up Ringo's style. You know, Ringo plays sort of what they call tight. You know, he plays the hi-hat and the snare drum, but he has this way of rocking his body from side to side, and then every now and then he'll do that little Beatle head shake. Hey, and you know what, man? I imitate him all the time.
Wow.
I noticed on his snare, but he kind of swings his hand when he hits the top of that snare. It's kind of a swinging back and forth, a sweeping motion, right?
Yeah, and he used to play his hi-hat sort of, say, 1/3 open, which would, you didn't have to hit it as, say if you were playing 8 notes or 16th notes. When you open your hi-hat, about 2 inches, then you don't have to play as many, licks on the hi-hat to get it to sound, like you're playing a lot of stuff. But
wow.
it's a drummer's thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. And now, have you ever had carpal tunnel, like a lot of them? Have you ever gotten the carpal tunnel?
Oh, yeah, man. Actually, about 2 years ago, I suffered from it real bad, And a friend of mine, she gave me this arm bracelet. It's like, it's black, and you slip your hand in it. It's got the Velcro straps on it. And I wore that for about 3 or 4 months, and it went away.
Wow. Good.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's real. The carpal tunnel from playing the drums, it's actually real, man.
Wow.
It's real.
Well, before that, how did you deal with it?
I never had it until I got older.
Wow.
All those years from the age of from 17, because I was 17 when I started with a group here called the Barkays.
Oh my God, you were a Barkay. I knew you were in Booker T and the MGs, but I didn't know about the Barkays.
Well, during the years that I was at Stax, I actually came into Stax through the demise of the Barkays. When the Barkays and Otis Redding were killed in that plane crash,
Horrible.
December 10th, 1967, the record companies decided to hire a new producer, and then they started an all-out statewide search for other youngsters to take those youngsters' places. So they had auditions all over the city, and I won one of the auditions, and I was inducted into the group.
Wow. By the way, did you ever meet Ringo?
No, man, and I would love to. I'd love to tour. I hope he's listening. Ringo, please.
Yeah, you need to be in the All-Star Traveling Band, man. You really do.
Yeah, I've been hearing about it, and I've been seeing him on different talk shows, And man, I would love to, because I got that head shaking thing down.
You got the suede boots.
He throws those jams with his friends all the time, though, huh? I mean,
I still got the boots, but I don't think I can wear them. I think they're a little small.
I hope you don't have any bunions.
Oh yeah. Black people, man, we have big feet, man.
That's true. That's part of the the appeal.
Exactly. It's in your hands and your feet, and we won't mention anything else.
Hey, Willie, I want to know some little trivia. I want to know how the Al Jackson Jr. thing happened when you came in and replaced him.
Well, I when you use the word replace, what I did was, Al has always been a fan of mine. I mean, I idolized the man because before I even started playing drums, I was listening to the Stax Records inventory, and Al's style. Actually, he was a jazz drummer because his father was a jazz bass player. And he could get heavy when he played, and he could also lighten up, And so I idolized him, and I patterned myself after him. Now, as far as replacing him, after his death, they decided to do a tribute album, which the tribute album was called Universal Language. I think Tommy Dowd, he co-produced a couple of songs on there, and it was Elektra Asylum's first attempt at an R&B project.
Wow!
So because prior to Booker T and the MG signing with them, they were a country and western label, So they took a chance and signed Booker T and Booker T, Steve, and Duck. They gave me an invitation to do the album with them. And so we had so much fun doing the album, the tribute album to Al. So they asked me to go out and do the tour with them. So I played with them for, I would say, with the albums and the tour, almost 2 years.
Oh, how cool is that? Wow.
Hey, man, that was beautiful because you not only got a chance to go out and play stuff that you had admired, you know, most of your young life, but you also got a chance to learn all the studio techniques because these guys were the ones that recorded, you know, the majority of the early Stax stuff. Wow. So, you know, I was in hog heaven, man. They were teaching me, you know, I could imitate a guy that I loved seeing play. And then again, I would come back and these guys would teach me about studio techniques, you know. Wow. So it was a blessing, all of it, every one of it.
So you're getting that learning experience, a whole different thing when you're in the studio, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Studio work, being a studio musician, it's totally different from playing on stage, even though you're playing the same licks, you know, especially. And in my case, I was blessed because most of the stuff that I performed on in the studio, you know, that went gold or platinum, I ended up working with those artists. So I didn't have to learn somebody else's music. Yeah. I could just play my own stuff. Wow. So, and then that was an advantage for the audience too, you know, because when an audience goes to a show, they practically want to hear it exactly the way it was done, you know, with maybe a few variations in the solos or stuff like that. And that was on that subject. When I worked with Isaac Hayes, it was one thing that he was adamant about. He wanted to make sure. That's why he carried like 50 people for strings and horns.
Wow.
You know, at one point, he hired the Memphis Symphony. Now, the Memphis Symphony would play on his recordings, and he also hired them to travel with us. And boy, that was a rude awakening for them. You know, you're on the bus with 25 black guys and they're gambling over in one corner and they're telling dirty stories over in the other corner, man. And these were collegiate people, man. These were professional people, you know, white folks. And boy, hey, man, and I would hear from some of their wives. They said, my husband left here, he was sane Friday. And when he got home Monday morning, he was talking all these damn ebonics and shit. So, but yeah, getting back to that, Isaac was adamant about he wanted the audience to experience exactly what they heard on the album.
Wow.
Which, you know, yeah, he used strings and horns. So it was a pleasure just working at Stax, man, being there with all those guys, man, all these originators. First school originators.
But I mean, Willie, people don't know this about you. You drum on Shaft.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what was that like with the Parliament of Funk? Was it amazing?
Well, you know, at that time I was I think I had just turned 18.
You're 18 years old, drumming on an Oscar-winning. The Oscars are on Sunday, and you were drumming on the Oscar-winning theme for the Oscar-winning film of the year. Yeah.
And we were blessed. Isaac was fortunate. He was noted as the first Afro-American composer to win an Oscar for the theme from a soundtrack. So, you know, we made the history books. Not only, you know, was the song popular, but it actually went down in history.
Wow.
You know, Quincy Jones had been doing soundtracks prior to all of us even being born. Wow. And but Quincy had never gotten an Oscar for a soundtrack for a theme.
Amazing.
And so yeah, I was 17, man. I just finished high school, and like I say, I entered through the Bar-Kays demise, and so at that time, Booker T and the MGs, they were getting ready to leave Stax. They were going to branch out. I think Booker, he had married Chris Christopherson's sister, and he was getting ready to move to Los Angeles. And So they were the major rhythm section for Stax, Booker T, and MG's members.
Wow.
So they were actually looking to groom somebody else to be the studio band. So while the new Barcades were being groomed as stage performers, and so they started grooming us for to record, to be the house band. So so Isaac came and Isaac asked Barcades producer if he could use the Barcades rhythm section to record with. And so the go-ahead was given, and so Michael Toles on guitar, James Alexander on bass guitar, and myself on drums, we were used to record for the multitude of artists on the roster for Stax Records.
Wow.
So what was the first tracks? I mean, did you guys all play together and then put in the dub and add layers or in the studio?
Yeah.
So you just got the bass, the backbone, right? You got the bass and the drums and the guitar as your foundation?
Yeah, back in the day, man, we're talking old school stuff here.
Yeah.
That's what we would do. I'll speak on Isaac's behalf or in reference to Isaac's stuff, because we recorded more stuff with him, stuff that hadn't even been released yet. But anyway, we would go in the studio, and it would usually be the bass player, the guitar player, myself, and Isaac on keyboard. And then at one point, Isaac added a guy, Lester Snell, on keyboard. So Isaac could stand there, look in his third eye, and dictate everybody's part except mine. Usually, if he wanted me to play a certain beat, he'd just tell me, "Hey, Clarence, give me a beat, give me this right here, give me something right here," and he'd give me the tempo, and I'd play the beat. But there were also instances where Isaac and I would go in the studio alone. He and I would put the basic track down, and then the bass player would come in, and then the guitar player would come in, or they both would come in at the same time. But there were many tracks that he and I, he would sit at the piano and he'd work up the song, and that gave me a chance to work up my part right along with him, and that way we could be tighter. But yeah, it's the basic stuff. Just take the rhythm section in, do the basic track, and then start stacking everything else.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it works great, man, because all the parts are so tight. But there are professionals then where you can, like I was looking at some film on the Motown stuff. They would have the whole orchestra, the rhythm section, and the vocalist and everything in a room, going over the tracks.
Wow. Now, let me ask, Willie, did you know when you heard Chef, did you know that was going to be the Oscar-winning song of the year?
No, because like then again, I was so young, but I was very attentive, and all things were happening so fast, and Isaac was blossoming so fast.
Wow.
All I knew was that Al Bell had cooked up this deal, and Isaac it told us a little about everything that was going on. But we were such a tight group. It was a small group. It's only about 5 of us,
wow,
including Isaac, as far as the rhythm was. We were so tight, and we were working so much until we didn't really get the gist. I didn't really. I was the youngest one. No, Michael, the guitar player, was the youngest. I was next to the youngest in the group, so
How
I
old
didn't
was
really
Michael?
know. Michael, okay, I was 17. Michael was like 15.
Wow.
Oh, what a
Yeah,
trip.
yeah.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, man.
These are teenagers, man.
But
So no, I didn't know the gist of what or the impact of what was going on, but I do. It was such a magical time, and it feels good when I reminisce about it, because it's almost like, dog, did I dream this? But what happened was when we got to MGM soundstage to do the original soundtrack, they gave Isaac like some hours to have everything done. That was the allotted time. That's to do the rhythm, strings, horns, backgrounds, and his vocals.
Wow.
So, but we were so tight, and he had rehearsed us prior to going to LA. He had rehearsed us so much until we got there. He was given 22 hours, and he completed the entire thing, strings, horn, voices, in like 16 hours. So it was a major breakthrough. It had never been done before.
Wow.
Where you get through with everything so fast. But that would come with when you pre-plan everything, when you rehearse the guys, So when we sat down behind the equipment at that sound stage, neither one of us had never done anything like that.
Wow.
And so, Isaac, what he did for me, and it helped me so much, because we were going to be dealing with what they call then the click track. It's the metronome,
Yes, yes.
It gives you the tempo. So what Isaac did, me being young, and he didn't want me to have any tempo problems. He wanted me to be the kind of drummer that really had good timing and everything. So he bought me one of those old metronomes.
Not the little ones. You mean the ones that you wind up and they look like a little pyramid with a wood box?
Exactly. It's the wood with the pendulum.
Yeah, going back and forth, dude. Oh, wow.
And look, and this one had a little red light on it, so you could hear the tick-tock, or either you could cut the sound off and just watch the light. And for about 3 days, when we first got to the Continental Hyatt House in L.A., I would lay in my bed, turn the lights, set the metronome meter, turn the lights off, and I would take my sticks and a book, and I would play watching that red light.
Wow.
so I guess I hypnotized myself.
Yeah. Now that's old school analog
that is
there.
Amazing.
Yeah, man.
And that song is all you in the percussion section, It's just amazing.
Yeah, it was just phenomenal. I could never say enough about that whole era.
That was
phenomenal.
That was such a groundbreaking sound. I mean, the synthesizers, and those effects, man. That that was.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of synthesized sounds, once Isaac was recording in Atlanta, and we were all there doing one of his albums, and the Bee Gees came to Atlanta at the Coliseum. And so Isaac, after we finished recording one night, he stopped the session. He said, "Hey, man, y'all want to go see the Bee Gees?" I said, yeah, sure. He said, I talked to Barry, and, he told me to bring whoever I wanted. So we left the studio, got in the van, went to the Coliseum. And after the show, we went backstage, and oh man, look, we're talking about 40, 50 women, a few men backstage, and they're just all over the Bee Gees. Man, when Isaac walked in that dressing room, man, they left all the women and the food and everything. Man, they gathered around Isaac like he was Elvis Presley.
Wow.
Man. They loved him. The Bee Gees. So they were in conversation, and one of the conversations were, they asked Isaac, say, "Man, look, how did you get that sound, man, on the song Wrap It Up?"
Wow.
Now, the song Wrap It Up, it's got like a clavinet on it. And so they said, "Man, we've got a 64-track board, and we cannot duplicate this sound." They said, "Man, we want to know, what the hell did you do?" And Isaac said, "Man, the reason you probably can't duplicate that sound is," he said, "that sound came about as a matter of distortion." He said that we had recorded the song 12 times. Everybody was tired and ready to go home. And he said, in the last take, we tried it again, but the microphone fell against the amp. It fell against the amp, the speaker, and it distorted. And he said everybody was so tired and disgusted. He said, "Man, we just decided to just leave it that way."
Wow.
So he said the sound that you're trying to get came about as a matter of distortion.
Yeah. That was just an accident happened, and you just rolled with it,
Hey, man.
Created something a whole new thing.
Yeah, because they only had during that time because Stax went from a 1-track to a 2-track to a 4-track to an 8-track to a 16-track to a 24-track. I think at their height they only had maybe 24 tracks. But anyway, so they only had I think it was the 2-track then, maybe the 4. But anyway, so they had to stack a lot of instruments on each track. So in other words, the keyboards might have been on the track with the guitar. So everybody just got tired, man, and they just left it like that, and boom, it was a hit.
That's amazing. I mean, what is the song you to hear Willie Hall at his best? What's your favorite song? that you're on?
Okay, now keep this in mind. I've never been like this fantastic player, and you know I'll be the first to admit that. I think where my reputation came from is playing behind famous artists or playing on songs that famous artists did. Because I mean, you know, I used to study behind Elvin. Elvin Jones was my hero.
Wow.
You know, the jazz drummer, Billy Cobham, Gene Krupa. I came from the old school. So I've never been a fantastic drummer. At one time, a friend of mine told me, say, you need to put your sticks down and just play with your feet.
Oh
you
man!
know, no. And but what happened is, okay, I was blessed to be able to play on all this hit stuff, but one song other than Shaft, one artist that I really enjoyed being with, and it was Total Simplicity, and that was the Earl Scruggs Review album.
Really, Earl Scruggs?
Really, yeah, man.
Wow.
I mean, look, that album had so many artists, star performers on it. You know, there's everybody, and that's during that project. Billy Joel and I were roommates. You know,
Really?
And,
So
This is going to work up to a good story.
yeah, it's
Keep
already,
going.
yeah.
Let's keep going with this.
So you and Billy Joel hit it off?
okay, it was like mid-70s. We were in Nashville. Bob Johnston, the late Bob Johnston, he produced all that stuff on Michael Murphy, and Bob Dylan. So Bob Johnston is a producer. A friend of mine named Don Nix, who was a friend of the Beatles. Don and I are good friends from Stax. So Don invited me. He told the producer, hey, man, Willie Hall. He said, yeah, I'd love to have him. So I'm on the session. We go to Nashville. There's Charlie Daniels. There's Buffy St. Marie. There's the Pointer Sisters.
Wow.
There's Leon Pendarvis. There's Randy Scruggs. There's Earl Scruggs. Oh, man, it's a host of people. Roger McEwen or McQueen from the group The Byrds.
Roger McGuire. Yeah.
McGuire,
Yeah. You can still get this album, and also there's a novel out about Earl Scruggs. But anyway, so I'm on this project. There were only two people of color there, and that was Leon Pendarvis. He's the keyboard player, and myself. But you know that didn't matter. But I'm just saying it was an exclusive club of musicians.
And the Pointer Sisters.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that was they were like background, but in the studio for those 2 weeks, you know how close knit you can. Yeah. So Billy, we're all staying at a local Holiday Inn there, and so Billy and I are roommates in the Holiday Inn. You got the 2 beds and the 1 bathroom. So when we would finish the gig, I'd come home. So I'm the hardest work person there. You know, the drummer never stops moving. So and when these guys weren't recording, they all were reminiscing and playing different songs. So I never stopped. I would never stop playing during the night. So we would get back to our rooms like 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I want to go in. I'm like famished. I'm like, oh God, I want to go take me a S&S and lay down and go to sleep. When I go in the bathroom, I would always get to the hotel before Billy, because he'd always go downstairs and have something to eat, and I'd go up and go and use the restroom and different things and get in the bed. As soon as I get in the bed, man, Billy come in there dragging this piano, set it up, and start playing. And I'm like, oh man, why is this white boy just steady playing? I'm trying to get me some sleep. Because see, I didn't know Billy Joel. I didn't know how famous he was. It was my first time meeting him. I had heard the name, but I didn't know who Billy Joel was. So he pissing me off, see, really.
You're about to whip Billy Joel's ass.
Hey man, I'm telling you, I was about to tell him something. But look, I can't get no sleep. Okay, night after night after night. So finally, I said, hell, I'm going to the producer and tell him, man, I got to have my own room. So I told Bob Johnson, I said, Bob, man, this man, keeping me up all night, man. Can I get a single, man? Because I ain't getting no sleep. I don't think the guy. I don't think the guy slept in 14 days.
Wow.
I never saw him sleep. But you know that stuff will do you like that. But anyway, so I didn't
say no more.
So I didn't know anything about him. So they gave me a single. And as the years went by, man, Billy Joel, the trip to Russia, all the album. And I thought to myself, one day I was broke. I was trying to figure out a way to get some money, who to call. And I thought to myself, and I looked on the television, Billy, there were some film clips of Billy in Russia. And everybody was going crazy on Billy Joel. And they was talking about his fortune. And I said to myself, damn, Willie, that was stupid. I said, man, that was really stupid of you to want a single. And you should have got in there and helped him write some of them songs.
Yeah, you'd be banging models right next to him.
He was banging out, setting up his piano. He was probably writing all those new hits, right?
Yeah, man. As a matter of fact, he would ask me, he said, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I'd roll over and go, yeah, man, I like that. And, you know,
and there he is writing Piano Man. You know?
Hey, yeah, man, that should have been Joel and Hall, you know? Boy. And now, anytime I'm around anybody writing songs, I try to put in a word. Hey, man, why don't you use D instead of she? That might work right there.
I'll sleep after the song is over.
I'll sleep when I'm dead, Billy.
You know, you run in the studio, you say, hey, man, I got a good idea for that.
So did you call him up and say, hey, do you need a drummer? Or
no, you know what? I saw him in Chicago in, what was it, 85, I think it was. I was up there doing some work. And I told him about that, man. We laughed so hard. Yeah, we laughed.
Did he remember?
Yeah, he remembers. Yeah, man. Because you know what? I used to lock the door sometimes, you know, when I'd be in there by myself. I locked the door and he couldn't get in. He just, you know, that's when I say, oh, God damn.
Wow.
Ooh, man.
That's so hilarious. God. Opportunity is literally knocking to get in.
Exactly. I mean, big opportunity.
You keep on knocking, but you can't come in. Second revised version.
That's it, man. But this time by Billy Joel and Willie Hall.
Exactly. You can split models.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
yeah, I got to have a piece of everything. Anything I run into now, I got to have a piece of it.
Very smart man. I'm curious, by the way, did Samuel L. Jackson, when you did Black Snake Moan
I love that movie.
Willie was pine top in that. When you did that with him, did he know you drummed on Shaft?
Yeah, well, you know, the musical director, his name was Scott Bomar. He had a group called the Bo Keys, which I was a part of at that time. And so Scott and everybody got to be real good friends. And I hung around some of the filming other than the part that I was in. I hung around the set with Scott and got to know Samuel. And they all knew about our credits and our credentials.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you know, we were Samuel actually. Scott Bomar actually got a chance to teach Samuel how to play the guitar.
He had to learn how to play that slide.
Yeah, man. And if you watch his fingering, you know, you can tell he had some experience.
Wow.
You know, I tell you another little story. When Craig Brewer did Hustle and Flow,
yeah,
I got a chance to hang out because we did the soundtrack. Well, we did the source music. I think Ludacris did the soundtrack, but we did the Bo Keys band, Scott Bomar again, and myself and some others. We did the source music. So Craig Brewer has a home here in Memphis, and I think one in California. But every October 31st, I think it's one of his son's birthdays, so he gives his son a birthday party. So fortunately, that weekend of the 31st, the crew was still here filming Hustle and Flow. So Craig had a party in his backyard, and all the cast and crew was there, and the Bo Keys band played And so they gave me a drum solo. I mean, you know, one of my little antics
cool.
is, yeah, man, one of my little antics is to play the drums, play the rims, play the hardware, play the ground, and anything else around me. And so Terrence Howard, he was so enthused about that.
Wow.
He came and set his chair right in front of the drums. And he just watched everything I did.
Wow.
and
I would have done the same thing, man.
Well, you know, I was clowning, in other words. You know what I mean? Once, you know, you play the drums, then you play the hardware, and then you play on the ground, and then you play on the fence, and all the way up to the back door where the food is, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. That's fun.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, you're looking at all your stuff.
How much rehearsal? I mean, how did Samuel have to train with his guitar lessons before the actual filming?
I'm not sure about.
Was that before you came in? You just dropped in on one and did it one day shoot, or what?
No, well, they had been Scott Bomar, who's a bass player, but he plays guitar also. He was a music director, and but they had been working with Samuel off and on for quite a while, a few days, a week. But Samuel really put his heart into it, and he actually learned how to mimic those licks. So he really got into it, man. He's a dedicated actor.
Yeah,
and,
so he was a fast learner then. I mean, he just yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got that talent. He really does. I got to give it to him.
Wow.
Not only with the character, he could just soaked up that music, you know.
Yeah, man.
Plus,
yeah,
who doesn't love the blues anyway and feel it, you know?
That's what I was getting ready to say. He's really an avid blues fan, just like John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd were.
Wow.
You know. Yeah. I tell you a little story. When the Blues Brothers first appeared on Saturday Night Live, I didn't really get off on their act. I said, "Oh man, the Blues Brothers! Look at these white boys trying to imitate the brothers." You know, so I would watch John, and John was very good. You know, and doing the Joe Cocker thing, and he could do Ray Charles. He could do most of the black entertainers.
Wow!
And so, I'd watch a little of it, and then I'd turn the TV up to another channel. You know, because to me it was just like fake news.
Wow,
I didn't take it serious, and I don't think a lot of people took it serious. We thought it were, if they're like me, I thought it was entertaining, but I didn't think that, this was a fad or this would actually explode the way it did. So, but I kind of kept my eye on it because Steve Cropper and Doug Dunn, who were, friends of mine from Memphis, they were a part of it. So it caught my attention, but I didn't really say, oh, man. It was like that. And all of a sudden, man, they started blowing up. And I got this phone call. And the phone call again, my involvement again, was because of someone else's uninvolvement.
Really?
Steve Jordan was the original drummer. And Steve, Paul Schaefer, and Tom Scott, who were original members of the band.
Wow.
Universal Pictures had paused and put the making of the movie off for so long because they only started out with like a $4 million budget. That's how serious they thought it was going to be. But it ended up, so they put the movie off from time to time. So Steve Jordan, Paul Schaefer, and Tom Scott, they entered into another contract with Gilda Radner to do some off-Broadway with Gilda. They signed a year's contract, and if I'm not mistaken, they had been given like $100,000 or something in advance for the tour.
Wow.
For the whole year, for the performances. So when Universal gave the green light, okay, man, and in order for Universal to give the green light for the project, they had to take money from other projects to put with the Blues Brothers projects, because I think the Blues Brothers project started out with a very minimum millions of dollars. So eventually it got up to be 40 million. I think they say that's what they spent on it.
Wow.
And grossed over 400 million or something like that. But so all these guys couldn't make it. So when I got a call one day from the producer's office. What was his name? I forget right now. But anyway, and it was Doug Dunn, and somebody said, "Can I speak with Willie Hall?" And they had called all over town looking for me. I had my kids. I was driving a popsicle truck, with the little bell, with the little bell on top.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Seriously, things had just gotten that bad. Isaac Hayes was going through his bankruptcy, and so he wasn't working, and he was, as he said, having thoughts of suicide. That's how bad things were for him.
Wow.
He had moved from Memphis to Atlanta, and then Stax Records had closed. So it was like I was left in the desert or something, So I had 2 kids and an ex-wife, so I had to go to work. So the only job available at that time in Memphis in 1979 was driving an ice cream truck selling popsicles.
Amazing.
Mainly in the ghetto.
Wow, no.
Damn.
Oh, man. So,
by the way, this is how you write the blues.
That's what it's all about, man.
That is,
I got the popsicle blues.
Go on.
I am a true blues brother.
Wow.
Yes, sir. So I'm out on my route. I go out every day, and so I finished for the day. Got my little $75. Went and picked my kids up from my ex-wife, and my 2 sisters, and the 5 of us. When I'd get paid on the weekends like that, I'd take them out for a treat, like ice cream, Wendy's, stuff like that. So we're at a Wendy's, and a friend of mine lived around the corner, so I stopped by there, and he said, "Hey, man, I'm so glad you stopped by." He said, "Man, look, Hollywood's looking for you." I said, "Yeah, man. Yeah, right. He said, "Man, I got the kids." I said, "I got the kids out there in the car, and it's kind of hot. I'm going to go." He said, "No, I'm serious. They called here from Hollywood looking for you." He said, "Here, I got the number. They called the studio. They couldn't find you, and they called me to see if I knew where you were." So he said, "I'm going to call the number for you." He dialed the number. It was straight to the director's office.
Wow.
At Universal, at the producer's office at Universal Pictures. So I got on the phone, and they said, "Bob so-and-so." It's all right. They said, "Willie Hall." Say, "Duck, we got Willie Hall on the phone." Duck came to the phone. "God damn it, where you been? You almost missed this one, God damn it. Where your black ass been?" Duck and I, if you knew Duck, you'd understand. But Duck was cool. I love Duck with all my blood, man. Aww. And so Duck and Steve was in the studio. I mean, in the producer's office at that time, because he told me, he said, "Man, you almost missed this one. Because if we couldn't have been able to find you today, we were going to move on to someone else." And so they started telling me, "Man, you want to do the producer said, would you like to do the Blues Brothers movie? You come highly recommended by Duck and Steve." And see, Duck and Steve and I, we had just come off tour with Levon Helm. And so I was still fresh in their minds. Wow. I played drums while Levon would play mandolin and sing. And when Levon would play drums, I'd play percussion. So I was a part of his band prior to the Blues Brothers. So they started talking all these figures and this schedule, and put me on to the secretary. They booked me a flight, and we went to Chicago, signed contracts, picked up front money, and the rest is history. And it was beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. So when you shot Blues Brothers, what did you think when you met Landis and Aykroyd and all those guys? Was that as well as all these blues legends?
Well, you know what? Fortunately, the reason I didn't have a heart attack during all of that is I was accustomed to it because I was working at Stax Records, and I was around all the major entertainers, prior to hooking up with Danny and John. I mean, because at Stax Records, we cut records for Billy Eckstine, Sammy Davis Jr., a whole host of other, Little Milton, Albert King, so I was accustomed to being around that kind of atmosphere. But even though it was a totally higher level, it was like carte blanche when I got with the Blues Brothers. It was a lot to take in. But one thing I must say, John, Danny, and the band, the original Blues Brothers band, they were so warm. They were such good people. Wow. And they embraced me, even though their friend Steve Jordan, you know, they love Steve, and I love Steve too. Steve couldn't make it, and so there was a minor fraction of a misfeeling. You know, who's this guy? You know, what the hell? You know, but after a week or a month or so, everybody smoothed out. They embraced me as with love, and I felt warm and felt welcome.
Oh,
yeah. But you know, doing the movies was nothing new because Isaac Hayes had, you know, when he became popular, he had taken us to on the sets of some of the movies that he filmed.
You were on
like
Truck Turner? Oh my God, I love Truck Turner.
Me too, man.
Wow, are you in the film? Do you appear anywhere?
No, not in that film, but I appear in the other one, Three Tough Guys.
Wow. Oh yeah, Three the Hard Way.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, with that's
Isaac
with Isaac
and Jim Brown, right?
Fred Williamson.
Yes. It was And by the
Now,
way,
maybe you're thinking about when you spoke of Jim Brown. Maybe you're thinking about I'm going to get you, sucker.
No. Three the Hard Way.
Three Tough Guys.
Wow, Three Tough Guys. Interesting.
Right.
I've never heard of that title.
Well, yeah. Well, see, actually, there were two titles given to the movie. They changed it. At first, it was supposed to be Two Tough Guys. Two Tough Guys.
Right.
That's what. Those are the lyrics that Isaac has on the soundtrack. Two Tough Guys. But Fred Williamson bitched, and they had to change it to Three Tough Guys.
I wouldn't want to say no to the hammer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we see him at conventions. He's a big dude, man.
You were saying
because the Tough Guys were Isaac Hayes and this Italian actor, Vino something, I forget his name. They were the detectives who were solving the crime. Fred Williamson was the bad guy in the movie.
Really?
So when they named it Two Tough Guys, they were actually talking about Isaac and the Italian guy. But when the movie and even after it came out, they had to change the title, man, because they said Fred cut up, and they had to put Three Tough Guys in it.
Yeah, Three Tough Guys. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But you know, we also were blessed to work with Sammy Davis, and he was a phenomenal person, man. I saw him come in a club once and just improv and just sat on a stool and went to sweebop, shebop, sheboo, beat that. Man, it entertained everybody, and everybody was blown away. He was the entertainer's entertainer, wow. Sammy Davis.
You know,
but Isaac produced a song when it came out as a single. It was on the flip side of Candyman. It's a song called John Shaft, written by Isaac Hayes and a lady named Betty Crutcher. And they wrote this track. You know, it's a duplicate of Shaft. It was just a single, but Sammy wanted to do something with Shaft in it. But anyway, so we did get a chance to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, and working with Cab Calloway, you know, that was like, wow, am I really alive? You know, because Cab was the Michael Jackson of his era.
That's true. I mean, Minnie the Moocher and everything. I mean,
yeah. Well, he was the light skinned guy in a time of black skins, and he had the processed hair. He was good looking. He dressed the part and could dance his ass off. You know, he was an up class, you know, entertainer. He was a classy entertainer.
Wow.
But there was from the footage that I used to watch, man, there was nobody like Cab Calloway. So. Yeah, it was awesome to be in the presence of all of that was going on. And then I found out how serious Danny and John were about the blues, man. These guys had, in their trailer, they had this old Rockola jukebox, and it had all the old blues stuff in it, man. And they would play it. They would play it and love it. And then John, he gave a party one day and one evening, and we went out to his ranch, or the one that he was leasing. And John got on the drums and he played a little guitar. Yeah.
It was good. It was good.
I didn't know he could keep running, play the drum.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he would always tell me, say, one day I'm gonna teach you a little something.
Yeah, don't do drugs. There we go. Wow.
Man,
How much rehearsals? How much rehearsals do you have to do?
Let me finish. Go ahead and finish with that thought, Willie. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
when you said and don't do drugs, that's volume 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
What were you saying, Jeff?
When start shooting the film, I mean, you had to go all these different locations, and set up, and I mean, was there much rehearsal? How much rehearsal time did you guys go with?
Oh, we rehearsed maybe about a month, a few times a week, and then we would rehearse on the soundtrack cuts. Maybe about a month.
Yeah,
that's all for the entire thing. Because as you know, when you're filming, you're pantomiming.
Yeah.
So we had already rehearsed and got all the soundtrack out of the way, and they, for that scene, whatever edits they had to make, we were briefed on everything. So it was really a breeze. Again, like I say, when you're pantomiming to your own stuff, it's much easier, But if some drummer's playing this terrible lick, this awesome lick, and then and they're gonna do a close up, and I gotta duplicate everything he did, when I want him to shoot me from the neck up.
Hey, how'd you get the nickname Too Big?
Is this an X-rated show?
Oh no! Yes, if you want it to be.
Well, Well, I'll put it like this. Levon Helm, during our stay in Japan, he took all the guys out to a geisha house. And everybody else got their money's worth with me.
Wow.
Yeah, they had to give me a refund. Too big, give money back.
Oh man, just like Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah. And that's the honest to God truth, man.
Wow.
When I came out of my little cabin, all the rest of the guys were downstairs waiting. Like, what's taking him so long? And so the manager, she came up and she wanted to see what was taking so long, and so she tried to put the letter. She tried to put the letter in the envelope, and it was either the envelope was too small or the letter was too large.
Wow.
But it was said. So when the manager came back downstairs, she told the guy, said, "He come down now." And he said, too big, give money back. So they gave Levon the $75 back. And when I got downstairs, man, the guys never let me live it down. So they went straight. And the night of the Ramada room, where we were all sitting at the table, and I used my famous quote, "You got the money, you owe me." Anyway, that was when they told John and Danny that story. Because they weren't with us. Yeah, man.
Wow. So, did you know
Believe it or not.
There's a lot more to that. Where's the money,
Did you know that would be Willie Too Big Hall in the credits, that they put your nickname in the middle?
When we were sitting there doing that scene, and so they said, "Oh man, we need nicknames for all the guys." So everybody started coming up with nicknames. And so they told John and Danny that story because, see, it was the same band, but we were with Levon.
Right,
so
John,
John and Danny had never heard about that. So they told him that story, and he said, "That's it. Put that in the book. Put that in. That's his nickname.
They must have been cracking up, man."
Hey, man, everybody was cracking up, because it's an old cliche, and especially for people of color, and a few of you white boys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Willie, this is amazing. I mean, that's hilarious.
It is, man. It's so true, man. And man, everywhere I go, But I tell you another funny story that has haunted me ever since the movie. The first line that I have, "You got the money, you owe me, MF."
Yeah.
Okay. They say I did it so well. One take. But look, after the movie was over, things became lean. You know what I mean? I had people to tell me, I wouldn't call you to do a session because I didn't think you needed the money.
Oh, no.
Are you completely crazy? Man, I need, because anytime your income goes from over 100,000 down to 20,000,
right?
There's a drastic, there's a drastic problem. So I would go to my friends and borrow money. Say, hey man, let me, whether it was for business or pleasure, I go to them and say, hey man, I need $40, man. Okay, man. All right, I'm gonna give it back to you. All right, okay, Willie, take care of that. And then we'd be out at a club or somewhere. And then these same people had a few drinks, real tipsy. They walk over to me. I'm in the middle of a crowd, and they walk over to me. Say, Willie, you got that money you owe me, mother?
Oh, no. And of course, the ladies and everyone else are hearing this.
And look, the guy I was telling you about, the director of the radio/Memphis.com, Rick Cheddar, who owns the studio, and they does this booze and blues show every Sunday from 8 till 11. Anyway, he helped me with a rental problem I was having. And every time, I bring it up, he doesn't mind, but he kind of feels it's offensive. But I told you, I said, yeah, Rick, just like you would be eligible to say that to me. Because right today, I think I owe him about $80.
That's cool, man.
But when you say that, it's not offensive to Cheddar. You're calling a hit on yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's really a joke because these guys, we love each other, and they'll help me whenever. It don't be no thing about the few dollars, but it's laughable when you can think of the fact that it's true. And it refers to the line in the movie.
Oh, wow!
It's just like in Blues Brothers 2000 when Dan Aykroyd gets out of prison, and the dancer girl brings him to my office, and I offer him a job. We're sitting in the office, and Danny's saying, "Hey man, we're gonna put the band back together." And I shook my head. I got a nice business going on there. And I tell him, I said, man, I got a nice business here. I'm not going back to jail, because we went to jail.
Right.
And honest to God, when we finished Blues Brothers 2000, it was about 3 weeks later, I was sitting up in jail.
What? Whoa, why?
And I thought about it. I said, damn.
You jinxed yourself.
I actually went to jail. It was traffic related stuff. No tags,
no tags in the car.
Yeah.
I mean, just to hear that in a movie, then do it in real life after the movie.
Man, I actually lived a lot of what the Blues Brothers movies were about.
Wow.
I mean, dig this. It was just a minor traffic infraction, like no license, no insurance, no tags. Just minor stuff.
Yeah, you probably had to make run a light for something important.
What did the cops say when they took you in? Did they know who you were?
Was this Memphis? Did a guy from Stax get arrested in Memphis?
Man, you know what? Ironically, and I'm sure it happens to you guys too, I can be in the weirdest of places. One night, I was practically homeless, man. I've been down through there. Anyway, I'm walking the street with a backpack on my back, nowhere to go, no money. That income had dropped drastically. So I'm standing there. There's a local DJ here, but he's a famous guy. His name's George Klein, Klein. He was the personal friend of Elvis Presley. He gave Elvis. He was Elvis's bridegroom.
Best man.
Best man.
I don't think Elvis married a bridegroom.
Hey man, if he was gay, it'd have been perfect. but yeah, he's Elvis's best man, and he and I are good friends. He used to work at a club. DJ at a club, spinning records for a few hours. And so I was walking down Beale Street trying to find $1. And so I went in, he gave me some money, and we talked for a minute, and I came back out of the club. I'm standing there on the corner, just looking from left to right, trying to figure out, where do I go from here?
Wow.
And so two black guys came across from Handy Park. One had a shirt off, and they were walking fast. One was in front of the other.
Oh no!
So the first guy that came across the street and came close to me, and we spoke. Hey man, So when the second guy came past, I heard him ask the first guy, say, hey, man, who dude look like to you? And the first guy said, look like that dude in the Blues Brothers.
Oh, my God.
Hey, man, and they kept walking. I never saw him again. And often I have people that say, man, I know you from somewhere.
Wow. Wow.
Or or I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, and somebody will say, hey, man, y'all know who this is? I go, oh, no. Because, you know, all that glitters ain't gold. You know, you don't want to be exposed, you know, to a lot of people in a lot of places.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Because, you know, people have expectations. And if you don't meet those expectations, whatever their expectations are, then you know, they hate on you anyway.
Wow, exactly.
Yeah.
Are you ever come to California, Willie?
Am I willing to come?
No. Do you ever come to California? Do you ever come?
Oh, yeah. I've got relatives there. My wife and I moved there back in the mid '80s. We lived there for about 7 years. And I come there for different projects. Now, there's a movie that I'm in now that
Zebo. Talk about Zebo Newton.
Yeah, Zebo Newton. Yeah. So I came out there with the artist, and while he was shopping the song, and I was out there during that same time that he was there. So yeah, man, I love L.A., man. San Francisco, all up and down the coast, San Clemente, San Diego. Yeah, I love it, man.
That's great. So, but you live in Memphis most of the time?
My family's been here in Memphis. My mother moved here in 1965, where I attended high school, and my wife and I have we've lived in a few places in the States: Florida, Alabama, L.A. She's got relatives there as well. Detroit, Wichita Falls, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah. We've been around.
So who do you play in Zebo Newton? Talk about that.
I play an old black man, and I had to get in the character to do that.
Oh, man, how am I going to do this?
Now, that's funny, Jeff. That's funny.
That's some good shit right there, brother.
Yeah. Man, I got to wear makeup and everything. You know? I got to, first of all, I got to get a tan. But no,
then you got to pull the money out of your wallet, right?
Yeah, man, I got to put in. I got to put injections in my nose and my lips.
Oh man!
No, look,
my decap color away your hair.
Then I got to learn how to speak Ebonics. But my character's name is Albert, and he's this movie is set back in the day, in the country, in the county. And it's about an evil family. There's a corporation that wants to come in and buy this land up so that they can put up a mall. And the people that still live on that land, their families go way back. They really don't want to sell, but they're in poverty. And so it's kind of like a toss-up. But this evil family, played by championship wrestler Jerry Lawler.
Oh, Jerry Lawler, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he's playing. Now he's good for that part.
Like we were talking the other day, his commentaries, man, he's a character. Oh yeah, he can play that really well.
Hey, look, man, he looks well, and he's got a great heart, man. I love Jerry. So Jerry's family, they're the evil ones in the town, and they got to either persuade or convince the other families to sell out so that they can make the deal with the corporation. A lot of the families don't want to sell, and they're either beaten up, or in one case, one person died, but I don't think he died from the beating or anything. I think it was a natural death. But that's the gist of the whole movie. Now I play Albert. I got the overalls on with the Brogame boots and the big flop hat, and then I still say "Yazza." No, I don't. I was just kidding.
Yeah, I don't think you were the guy to hire to say "Yazzer."
Yeah, it's close, but yeah, that's my part. I clean up the general store, and I'm a friend of the family. The guy that owns the store, his family and my family. I guess my family had been working with his family as the norm, for many generations. So that's my part, and also they the guy, he and his mom, they raised the money, put the money together to make the film. They chose me to narrate the film.
That's even better, man. That's great.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. That was my first voiceover at anything, but I loved it, man. I enjoyed it, and and it's going to be great to hear your voice, worldwide like that.
Oh yeah.
Narrating. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting some more voiceover work.
Is that going to be premiered or anything out in L.A., or are you going to come out for this?
From what I understand, Muck Sticky is the artist. He's like a young age Weird Al Yankovic. He took the film to L.A., San Diego, or San Francisco. Anyway, from what I understand, he called me and told me that they had won. The film had won. It may have been the Indie Film Festival, but it won an award for one of the best independent films. So a lot of times when people do independent films like that, if it wins an award, it's for more than one reason. It could be political, or it was just maybe a great motion picture. So, right. But anyway, from what I understand, it's being entered into a lot of different festivals, and it's already won a few.
Wow.
That's awesome, man. And it can keep winning,
Yeah.
You can just keep entering those and just keep getting those awards.
Right. Now, one of the main factors is everybody in the film, all the people that you see, they're professional people, either rappers, actors, wrestlers, everybody in the film is somebody of notoriety. So I'm sure that helps a lot too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But Memphis is having its first showing on at 7:30 on the 8th of March at a place called the Studio in the Square, which is this area called the Square, and there's a movie theater there. So they're having two showings, 7:30 and 9 o'clock showing. And so we're all going to show up and have a good time.
Wow, that's great. Hey, where can people follow your adventures, Willie? Where's the best place for that? Do you have a website or something we can plug in our last 5 minutes?
Yes, there's the website, williehall.com. There are a few Willie Halls, but you'll be able to find me. And also there's a Facebook site also.
And are you Willie Hall on that, or Willie Too Big Hall on that?
That's a separate page right there.
Actually, when you put that was good, man. You guys are great, man.
We want to hang out with you in person, man.
You're awesome.
That's what we want to do.
You guys are a great wake-up team.
Thank you.
Do you ever? Are you familiar with Rick Dees?
We are. I know his wife Julie a little bit.
Wonderful. Well, Rick and I are good friends. I played on Disco Duck.
Oh my God! You're on Disco Duck.
Yeah. And look, then I co-wrote the sequel, which was a total flop. It was called Disco-Rilla.
Oh my God! I'm from Detroit. I remember Disco-Rilla.
Yeah, he remembers that one.
Wow. In fact, I think Disco-Rilla is better than the Disco Duck, but you got to give Rick credit for the Donald Duck impression.
Look, when my wife and I moved we drove to L.A., I think it was like 83. And so I got to get out there and get my hookups. And Dan Aykroyd, he gave me some support. Wow. And so I called Rick Dees up. I think it was Kiss 100 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so Rick said, "Man, I'm so glad you're here, man. What you doing?" He said, "Hey, man, you want to go in the studio with me?" I said, "Sure, Rick." He said, "I'm going in." He said, we don't have to cut." He said, "I'm getting ready to release an album." I said, "Oh, that's great, man." So I'm thinking a lot of work. So he said, and you know what the title's going to be? What, man? He said, Rick Dees' Greatest Hit.
Oh my God! Wow. The first album, and it's the greatest hit.
Because just well, Willie, he told you the terrible story, right?
Yeah.
How his manager, Rick Dees' manager, apparently overpriced himself and kept Disco Duck off the Saturday Night Live, Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. He thinks it cost him millions. He used to tell this story on the air. His manager or somebody wanted too much money for Disco Duck when they were putting the soundtrack album together, and so Disco Duck missed the shot. Isn't that amazing?
Well, Robert Stigwood, they picked Disco Duck up and put it out. It was originally released on a local label, and the Stigwood organization picked it up and they released it as a single. So it was on the RSO label, but it missed that soundtrack album.
Wow.
Yeah, but it sold tons of music. Now, when we came out with the Disco Rilla, it was told to us that the powers that be said that Disco Duck being an animated music, it knocked a lot of major good songs off the #1 chart.
It did.
It did. Yeah. It knocked one of the Bee Gees songs down to number 3 or 4. And so the word was, the industry said, they say, we got Disco Duck. They said, kill Disco Duck. Said, we don't want another animal song, to take the place of, so they killed, they killed all that kind of stuff. That another dancing animal never made the grade again. Mm-hmm. Because see, kids, those are the money makers. I mean, those are the people that spend money. And if the kids don't have it, then their parents have it. So anytime you get a hit song with kids, but it's totally different now. That's all that's out there selling actually is youthful music, stuff for the youth. So yeah, they killed the next. They killed the sequel. So
I'm so sorry. I like the song though.
Yeah, we did an album on Rick. And he had one song on there because what Rick was doing, he was mimicking all the artists. And he loved Barry White. So he wrote a song. And the title of the song was I'm Barely White.
Oh.
Yeah. and we had the sensuous music going on. And it went something like, I'm barely white. I need some loving tonight.
Willie,
and he sounds just like Barry.
Willie Too Big Hall, thank you so much for doing the show.
Man, I have had so much fun, man, you guys. If I was near you, I'd kiss you.
Oh, we'd kiss you back. Thank you, sir.
Man, I would just put up a jam right on the street. I'd pull out my guitar and we'd just a tin can and we'd just jam.
Hey, let's do that. As long as we film it, man, we can put it on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Willie,
man, honestly, guys, I have had so much fun. And go ahead.
We love you. Thank you so much for doing the show. And thank you, Steve Joyner, for finding you for us.
Yes, man. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Man.
Hello, Kathy.
Oh.
She's my friend in Australia. She runs my website, my Facebook site.
All right.
Make sure.
Yes, I talked to her. She was delightful to talk to. I enjoyed talking.
She is.
It goes on
She's
YouTube.
sweet.
Put it on your tell Kathy to put it on your page. It'll be on YouTube before the end of the day.
Yes,
Right,
and it'll
right.
go to the Blues Brothers page, and it'll go out everywhere. So
Wonderful, guys.
yeah.
Thank you, Willie,
All
so
right.
much.
All right, thank you, guys, man.
All right.
Goodbye, sir. Thank you.
Goodbye.
All right, have a good one. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Bye. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Jeff Sargent Show. Join us tomorrow for Hot Chick Friday.
Oh yes, we have we have the beautiful Jamie coming in.
Tune in, tune out, and we'll see you
Tune in
then.
and tune out. Bye.
Bye. Jeff said keep that at 55 after, so.